Hi guys, what's up? Welcome back to another video. Today you join me with the 2024 Genesis GV70. Now, this isn't the sort of video I do normally. Normally when I do a review of a car, I just go out and I just do a full in-depth driving review. But Genesis is quite little known here in the UK, and I wanted to do an in-depth tour of the car and a proper walk around to show you what it's all about. So without further ado, let's dive in and I'll show you what's going on with this brand. This is the GV70. Now this one as spec'd is around £57,000, but you can get them from around 44,000 here in the UK, and they make a really great representation on the used market as well. Now, I don't know if you'd agree, I think the design is very Bentley. A lot of people do think the same thing. I've had a few people stop me and ask me if it is a Bentley, which is quite a compliment, I would say, in terms of the kind of the way it looks, the presence on the road. And when you consider this is kind of not that expensive in comparison to luxury options like that. Now they do the GV80, which is a larger SUV as well. The only thing with the Genesis cars at the moment here in the UK is there's kind of a limited powertrain option on them. So this one is a 2.5 litre turbo, which has just over 300 horsepower. It's a 4-cylinder turbo, so it's quite, even though it's relatively punchy, it is quite a small engine for this side of car, so it's quite strained under load, and also the fuel economy isn't particularly great. I've been getting around 30 mpg across around 800 to 900 miles of mixed driving, so definitely not the best. But the electric one I've got a full review of on the channel, and that one has a really particularly potent power plant. It's over 500 horsepower, and the range is pretty decent on that one too. I'm just going to sort of carry on walking around the car while I'm talking here, but the Genesis brand itself, it is basically a posh Hyundai in the same way that a Lexus is a posh Toyota. So you kind of expect that the warranty and the after-sales service on this car is going to be pretty good, and you'd be right. So the Genesis buying situation, you've got the Genesis Experience showrooms, and what they do is they show off the car. You can take extended test drives, and when you purchase a Genesis, it comes with a package for servicing where they will actually come to your home address and they'll drop off a replacement car and pick yours up ready for service and things like that. It's got breakdown cover. It just is really comprehensive. So overall, it's quite an impressive package, really, to be offered that kind of thing as part of it. You're definitely joining an exclusive club as well, because these aren't very popular here. Like I said, I've driven this up and down the country over the last week or so and done well over 800 miles. And would you be surprised if I told you that I have not seen another one on the road? So it's definitely a bit of an exclusive club right now at the moment, but you're getting a luxury car with none of the hassle, because not only do you get that great buying experience, but also high reliability from Hyundai stuff, and including the infotainment and the tech, which we'll go into in a bit. Now, just looking around the outside here, this one is finished in Store Green, which is a £750 option. I think it pops really nicely. I don't know how well it's coming out on camera today. The paint is a little bit sort of a bit dirty. It's not been washed properly, and also the lighting is probably not particularly ideal where I am in this car park, but overall, I do think it's a lovely combination. You've got this, and then on the interior of this one, you have Havana Brown, which is actually a no-cost option. So you can spec this colour as a no-cost. But the difference is, in this particular car, we have the Napa leather seat package, which is £2,350, but adds this really nice soft quilted leather, which is definitely an option that is quite a nice one. Also, you've got Innovation Pack in this car, which is the most expensive option, £4,190. That includes some of the nice tech, which I'll show you in a little bit, including the cameras for the blind spot monitoring, which are on these mirrors here. So a few bits there that are really good. You've also got Comfort Seat Pack, so it does massage and that kind of thing. Electronic limited slip diff, which is £450 option. I would recommend. This is a four-wheel drive car, but it just makes it that little bit more engaging, especially in sports mode. So let's look around the exterior. Like I said, you've got that kind of Bentley-ish front grille. I think it looks really imposing on the road, looks really good, and you've got these daytime running lights which change to the indicators. I'll show you that in a little bit. You have these 21-inch alloys and some large brakes here. These really look the part, and they're not too firm either. And these Michelin Pilot Sport 4 SUV tyres are standard from factory, which is nice. As I said, this paint really pops as well. Looking around the car, it's got kind of like a coupe-ish body line, which is nice. And you do have some exhaust fakery at the back here, but it's not too criminal. There are real exhausts in both sides. Again, it skews the way that there's some mud caught up in this car at the moment. But overall, it does look really good. The only thing I don't like from the back is the indicators, which I'll put those on now just so I can show you what that looks like across the car, because I do think that makes a bit of a difference. So in here, we've got some toggle switches for that. So let's hit that. And let's head back outside and take a look. So at the front, you've got the indicators on the mirrors. You do have the indicators there, which I do think, again, look really nice, really imposing on the road. Just this front end, that in the rear view mirror, it just looks great. And again, this combination with these sort of shadow chrome wheels, it just looks really expensive. It looks like a really nice bit of kit. Now at the back, I think this is where the indicator design is a bit disappointing. They've kind of just done what Hyundai seem to be doing on all their cars at the moment, and just mashing them onto the bottom there, which I think is the wrong thing to do. I think they could have been integrated into these, even if they weren't like dynamic and sweeping. I think they could have done something a little bit better there. But overall, I've got to say, it's definitely not the worst design that I've seen at all. Interestingly, the button for the boot release is here. So you hit that. I'll just give you a quick look in there as well. We'll go a bit more in depth in a bit, but actually it's a really nice load area. I've had 2 suitcases in the back here, no load lip. This parcel cover is really nice as well. You literally just pull and it retracts, and you can remove it as well when you put the seats down. So nice flat area, no load lip. You've got some cargo bits in here. You've got a 180 watt socket there, which is really good. Some pulls. It's a shame they're not electric to put the seats down, but that's not the end of the world. And this is actually on a nice latch mechanism, so you pull this up, you've got a little bit of storage under there, and your trolley jack and all that stuff. So yeah, not too bad. I'll go back in there in a moment, but for now, let's take a little look on the interior. So as we head inside, let's just turn off the old, there we go. So you've got a really nice wide infotainment screen here, and this is pretty much Hyundai's best stuff. Now this is a 14.5-inch navigation screen. It's got Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, all that good stuff. And you've also got here a 12.3-inch 3D display. Now you're not going to be able to see this on camera, but basically what this does is it uses some infrareds in this top section here, which you can actually see showing up on camera. These are those 2 red bits I can't see in real life. And that's beaming an infrared pattern onto my face to see where I am, so that it can put this 3D parallax effect onto the display. And trust me when I say it looks really, really good. Like everything, like the needle and the chrome bits around the outside, and this infotainment information in the middle is popping out at me as if it's 3D, and it makes it look multi-layered, and it looks really, really good. And this changes based on drive mode as well. So if I pop it into sport mode there, you can see that changes, and then if I put it into eco, it changes again, and you can customize that. As you can see, there's a bit of glare, but it is a particularly bright day today. I've got direct sunlight hitting this, so it doesn't look that bad normally. Just enough information on there. As you can see, you can kind of switch between the different information screens there, and it shows you different bits and bobs. I've got mine just set up to show the accumulated information, attention levels, and when you had your last break, tyre pressure warnings, bits and bobs like that. So yeah, I just have mine kind of like this, and I think it looks really classy. And you also got a head-up display, which you probably won't be able to see too well on camera in this environment, but it is just there, and it's got the information about the traffic signs on there, and your speed, and a few other bits and bobs. It shows your monitoring as well, your lane keep monitoring. On the doors here, it's all lovely material. Obviously this Napa leather package does help, definitely, but you've got nice kind of metal finishings. This is all kind of like nailed aluminium, and you've got the nice door switches, place for your bottle in there, and that's all good. We've got a Lexicon audio system, which is really good, and I like the way that the doors cover the pillars, the door sills down here, so that when you get out, you don't get mud all over the back of your nice beige trousers. So down here you've got some physical buttons, stuff like auto start, stop, on and off. Unfortunately the buttons in here are kind of a little bit of a weak point, like they're a bit mushy, so when you press stuff, like it feels okay, but it's not the best in the world. Like it's just not perfect. Like it's not like an Audi where you press it and it's got that micro switch kind of click to it, which is a bit of a shame, but again, it's not too bad. And down here we've got some controls for the infotainment stuff. So we've got your parking cameras here, which is really good. If I press parking, you can see the top down view is really, really good on the parking cameras, so that's great. And you've got a few different views there, and you've also got a 360 view, so you can hop on there and kind of see the car in real time. This is a touch screen as well, which is really nice, so you can go home and go back to the normal screen. It's super responsive. I'm very impressed with it. And you've got all the typical Hyundai stuff, so you've got drive profiles if you want to change to a different driver, like if you've got multiple people driving the car, that works really well. And you've also got your navigation and things like that, but things like voice memos, valet mode, quiet mode is great. So when you've got people in the back, quiet mode only puts sound through the front speakers. It's just quite comprehensive, really. And you've got all the stuff for the massage seats and all that in here as well. But overall, it just works really well. You've also got in here as well some information about, so you've got head-up display, So this is like all your speed limits warning and stuff like that, all your HUD stuff, but you've also got the ambient lighting as well. So ambient lighting you can change to pretty much whatever colour you want. There's loads of different options in there. I've got mine set to topaz yellow. You can't really see it in this light, to be honest, but it's round here. You've got it all round the dash here, and it's all in the doors as well. You can kind of probably faintly see it in there, but it's so bright out that you can't tell. But it does make for a nice little bit of ambiance on the interior when you're driving late at night. Glove box, a little bit small, but it's enough storage. You've got a wireless charging slot down here, which you can see is quite deep, and you've got 2 USB-A's, which is a bit disappointing. The newer stuff does have C though, and these nice aluminium bits here to do the volume and tuning. And this is a scroll wheel that you can control the infotainment with, which is really good, and you can also nudge it left and right to do different things, so you can go between different menus like that. And it's also a touchpad on top as well, so you can use it like a touchpad. So it's kind of BMW iDrive-esque, and it's just nice having such a lot of control down here when you're driving along. You don't have to reach over to the touchscreen. It's a really nice combination. You can just press home to go back to your main screen, which is really good as well. Gear select, so it's literally reverse, neutral, drive, park, nice and easy squeezy. And then you've got some decent cup holders here as well. You can see that that's long past it, but yeah, it's overall it's quite nice. And you've got really nice hefty controls for things like your, there we go, for your lights and things like that. And you can see on the dash it changes and shows you exactly what's going on when you turn them. It feels very, very hefty, and even like pressing stuff like the flash, it just feels super well damped. Really, really like it. Steering wheel itself, I'm not a huge fan of the design. I'm not a big fan of the 2-spoke, but what I do like is the fact that you've got controls that are easy accessible. So start button is something you can program, and there's 2 of those. There's one here, there's one on the dash. You can program those to kind of like something of your choosing, which is really nice. And then it's got a volume wheel and track skip here. I would prefer that on the right side, but that's just me being picky. On the right side though, we've got the stuff for the cruise control, and this button here is the all important one. This one basically activates your self steering on the motorway, and it's literally one button. You push it and the car will start directing itself on the motorway, and it just works, and you can press it and turn it off. It's super, super simple. Up here you've got some kind of lighting, so it's on a touch sensitive button, and you've got nice kind of suede, there's me, there's my crotch, and there we go. And yeah, so this is kind of like a suede Alcantara material in the headlining, which is really nice as well. And this is an auto dimming rear view mirror. You've got blind spot monitors on the mirror, but also you do have them on the car. So if I turn the engine on and then I were to indicate, you can see that I've now got cameras popping up on the dash when I indicate left and right to show what's in the blind spot of the car. So you can see, as I put my hand out the window, you can see what's going on there. So it's really, really useful on the motorway on a long drive, because it means that you don't have to worry quite so much. You can kind of glance at it last minute to check that something is not right. Let's get that switched off for now. It's going to probably bong at me for a little bit. Let's get the accessory power back on. In here we've got a little bit of storage and another 180 watt adapter. Not too bad. You can control this seat forward backward movement as well, and you can control how much tilt it is from here, which is handy if you just need to move it from this side rather than getting out. But yeah, seats, they're kind of firm, but not horribly so. Like, they're okay for normal usage, right? And as you're going along on a long journey, you do have the ergo motion ones on here as well. So I've got one button down here on the electric seats, and if I were to press it, you can see it comes up here and it shows that I can have a whole body massage if I want to as I'm driving along, and it will basically start that on a long journey for you if it thinks that you are kind of in dire need of shifting around, which is quite a good little trick really. So let's grab that. So stepping into the back, overall space isn't too bad. Excuse my bag. So you've got a lever here that you can use to tilt the seat down, and you can kind of lock it in several positions as well, which is nice. And if I just take my bag out here for a moment, so I'm 6 foot and this is in a comfortable driving position for me. Even if I get in like so, you can see that I still have enough leg room. It's not perfect in terms of thigh support, but overall it's not too bad. There is a massive transmission hump though in this particular car, being the petrol. You do have quad zone climate control here as well, or triple zone, sorry. So you've got temperature and speed, some more USBs, and you've also got a electrical outlet there. I don't know what that is though. Is that an American outlet? I think it might be an American outlet. Quite why that's there, don't know. But let's not get bogged down with those details. You've also got in the back, let's close this door, good old peasant blockers, so you can put the sunshades up there, nice and easy to use, and they're not as fiddly as some that I see in other cars. You've got some nice touches like this little hook here on this suede pillar, looks really nice, and you can see here's a bit of a view of the car. Some say they don't like the brown. I quite like it. I think there's sort of, it's not quite tan, it's quite dark brown, but I quite like the contrast, and it does look quite classy in here. Definitely not the most integrated dash, but I do like the layout. I do think it's really practical, and even things like on the climate control, you've got the like heated seats and the heated steering wheel are touch there, but you can still see there's enough physical buttons there to make things easier for you. And also that there is a fingerprint sensor, so you can use that to log into the car if you've got multiple users. Pretty nifty. And back here, of course, you've got a few little touches like this nice leather pull handle to bring that down for some cup holders. This is really nice and sturdy as well. And yeah, just overall, it's a decent little area to sit. And if I switch it back to me for a second, you can kind of see this is my seating position in the back of the car at 6 foot, which is quite comfortable. I can, as I say, I can kind of adjust this seat a little bit as well. So you see I've put it a little bit more upright now. There's a couple of different positions that you can put it in. So this is kind of in the middle, locked in at the moment. But headroom for me back here is pretty good. This model doesn't have the sunroof though, and the sunroof of course would eat into that ever so slightly, but I don't think it's too much of a big deal, to be honest with you. And overall, I think getting in and out of the car is going to be super easy for most. Now, let's have a little look at the space in the rear of the car. As I said, it's quite nice to have this button up here because it means that you're not feeling around in the dirty area down there. You've got your rear camera, and then as you open the boot, like I said, you've got some, like the load cover is really easy to remove as well. You literally just pull on this and it comes off. So I can do that. It's quite hard to do one-handed, but I still manage it. And then you can simply pull these levers to put the rear seats down. You can see that immediately folds, and that immediate folds. And then look at this cavernous space you've got, really practical. And like I said, as you can see with this thing here, no load lip at all. So super easy to get things in and out of, a very practical space. The only thing I would like in here would be an electric function to bring that back. But talking of extra gimmicks and functions, when we take a look at the key for the car, you can see here that there is actually an option for remote parking. So if you press and hold to turn the engine on, you can then move the car in and out of a parking space using the key, which is really cool. And you've also got a remote boot there as well. So really decent bit of kit, and as I said, I think these do represent pretty good value. The only thing I would say in this particular car, like I mentioned, is that the power plant isn't quite sufficient, I don't think. Now, even though the interior is lush and you do get a lot of extra features in terms of your self-driving stuff, all of your safety tech, you know, the 3D display and the fantastic infotainment, probably one of the best infotainment systems I've ever used in a car. Overall, just such a nice package to live with, but it's just a little bit of a shame about that power plant. Let's take a look at the one that we've got in this car. So the one, as I mentioned, that we've got here is a 2.5 litre petrol turbo. Now, I'm not saying it's terrible because it isn't, right? It's not terrible at all, but it is just a Hyundai power plant. And whilst it's turbocharged, it produces about 304 horsepower, I believe. It's just a little bit strained under high load in this particular car because of the weight of it. Now, this one isn't as heavy, of course, as the electric version, not anywhere near, and it doesn't have anywhere near as much power as well. And it is a smooth gearbox, so it's a normal automatic, but it's very smooth. And actually, when you're changing gears yourself in sport mode, it can be quite engaging as well. Minimal body roll, it's not too bad. As I said, it's not the most dynamic car, and it's not the most luxurious. It's kind of a nice middle ground, and it's just nice to look at. In terms of your other headline figures, 0 to 60 in 6.1 seconds onto a top speed of around 149 mile an hour in this model. It feels pretty sprightly. It's nothing to write home about. It's not the fastest car in the world, and as I said, only 30 mpg for me in the UK here, over around 800 to 900 miles, so definitely not the most efficient either. And they're starting to scrap their diesel options as well here in the UK, Genesis. They're trying to move over to just petrol only, and it's just a shame that they're not using some of that fantastic hybrid tech, like the self-charging stuff that the Hyundais use, because at the end of the day, that would be pretty ideal, because this package combined with a hybrid power plant might be okay, but I think the idea behind it is they didn't want to then go ahead and put a power plant in it like that. It's going to be disruptive. This one is nice and smooth, and you'd be surprised, it idles pretty much silently, and when it comes to actually driving it along, you don't really notice any of the gear changes. It's not exactly the rough 4-cylinder experience I was expecting, but in the US there is a 3.5 litre V6 option, and that one I think would be really, really nice indeed. However, I'm sure they're probably going to go fully EV at some point, and that would be nice as well. But it's nice to know that there is still something with kind of an old-fashioned way of thinking out there that is just a little bit of luxury. And with all the care that Genesis put in, the after-sales support and things like that, I think this might be a really interesting option. So with that Genesis 5-year care plan, that includes your 5 years warranty, scheduled servicing, roadside assistance, and over-the-air updates and courtesy cars. And I think that's going to be quite compelling for new buyers. But if you want an even better deal, look at one of these used, because actually they're quite compelling indeed. And when people see it and they compare it to those much more high-end cars, you know, when you look at some of these details on here, it just looks posh. And that badge as well, even that badge is very Bentley. And I'm not saying that this is like a Bentley from Wish, it's a knockoff, because it is its own thing. It's not designed to be the highest end luxury SUV, but it's just something that's a lot more special than your run-of-the-mill stuff. And with this really reliable and fantastic tech in here, you just know that you're going to get a really decent all-round package. Is it the most dynamic car in the world? No. Is it the fastest? No. Is it the most comfortable? No. But I think it does all of those things in little bits really well. And over the course of my trip this last week, it has been an absolute pleasure to live with. So I would say to you, go and check one of these out if you've never seen one before, because you might just fall in love with it and consider it versus some of the most popular options out there. So that's been me, and that's been the Genesis GV70. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you do like, please comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff, and plenty more videos to come. Now, what do you want to see from Genesis? Do you want to see some other cars from their brand? Well, if so, then head over to my channel. I've got reviews of pretty much their entire current lineup, including all of their petrol, diesel, and electric stuff, and lots more cars as well. So please share and subscribe. I really appreciate you guys watching. And if you like this format of video as well, please let me know, because it's not something I do very often, but I thought I'd give the new gear a bit of a chance, test out my new cameras and stuff like that, and give you a proper tour of this car to show you what it is all about. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.